Hey guys, it's Sawyer. We're back. So if you've been following me on Snapchat or on let's see here, Snapchat, TikTok, I've been posting my picks for the conference tournaments, and I went 12-3. I think I'm gonna stop doing that for March Madness. It's just too volatile. You don't know who's gonna win and who's gonna lose and who's gonna cover the spread. So yeah, right now, I am just I'm just gonna pick the games, and give my thoughts on each game. So yeah, let's get started. This is just a disclaimer. This is one of the things, March Madness, I'm just really passionate about. I really love sports in general, but March Madness, you see those brackets. It gets the boys buzzing. It gets the boys going. It's just one of those things that people enjoy. Um, so yeah. Actually, while I'm here, you know what? Why don't I post on Snapchat that I've gotten a live started, and that I'm going to the brackets. So let me do that real quick. So yeah, this is just one of those things that I'm really passionate about. March Madness brackets in general. I love conference tournaments because they also have brackets. Even the invitationals, the Maui Invitational, the Bad Boy Mowers Invitational, the ESPN Events International Invitational. Those things are like, those things are what I'm really passionate about. But yeah, so let's get started. I'm just gonna go through, pick each game, and say a little bit about each game too. So let's start with Auburn and Alabama State and St. Francis University. Auburn coming in is the number one seed, the number one overall seed in the tournament, and they're gonna win this game. All right, they have the National Player of the Year in Janai Broome. They're just gonna manhandle whichever of the 16 play-in seeds they get, whether that be St. Francis or Alabama State. St. Francis coming out of the Northeastern Conference, a little bit of an upsetter there. I don't think they were the one seed, but they're not gonna win. They're not gonna upset Auburn again. They might beat Alabama State, who's coming out of the SWAC, though, the Southwestern Athletic Conference. They were also, I don't think they were the one seed, but they're not. That'll be an interesting playing game, but they're not. Neither of them are going to be Auburn. All right, let's go down here. Louisville versus Creighton. This is an interesting one. Pat Kelsey's team coming in with Chucky Hepburn, going against a Creighton team that just that's been to the tournament a lot, and you can consider this one of their off years, actually, under Greg McDermott. They were a 3 seed last year, one of 3 Big East teams to make it last year, and they went kind of far. I think it was either the Sweet 16 or the Elite 8 where they lost. And this year wasn't a great start to the year. They finished it pretty well. Well, actually, I shouldn't say that. They had a really good middle part of the year, and they finished it kind of normal. But I like Louisville's momentum going into this one. They really had a good, how do I say this? A good end to their season, especially in the ACC tournament. A little bit different than Creighton. I think Creighton, this is one of those teams that's just kind of phasing out of their NCAA tournament years and getting to the point where those seniors are starting to graduate, and they're going to have to bring in some new guys and start to rebuild their program. Louisville is the exact opposite, all right? Pat Kelsey got in there this year. He's changed up the dynamics, and I think they're going to beat Creighton this year. So let's go down to Michigan, UC San Diego, all right? Michigan coming off of the Big East or the Big Ten tournament title. First year under Dusty May, a great job. Vlad Golden, what's the kid's name? Trey Alexander, Danny Wolf, just a great team all around. But they're playing a great team in UC San Diego, all right? UC San Diego was a team that was up for discussion that if they didn't win their conference title, would they get an at-large bid? Well, as Kanye West said, people were asking, what's going to happen if I don't win? I guess we'll never know, all right? And that's the same dynamic with UC San Diego, all right? So they won the Big West tournament title, and they're playing Michigan. I think a lot of people are picking UC San Diego here to upset Michigan. I am not one of those people, all right? When everybody's going right, I go left. When everybody's going left, I go right. It's just kind of an area where UC San Diego is going to be picked a lot. They're going to go in this with a lot of confidence that they can beat this team, but I still think Michigan is going to win this just because everybody else is picking UC San Diego. Michigan's still a great team. They won the Big Ten tournament title. All right, don't discount them. So yeah, let's see if we have any comments. Are there any comments in here? Let's see here. How to look for comments? Oh, I'm so new to this, guys. My bad. Let's see here. Analytics. I don't know where to go. I don't know. All right. Anyways, guys. I guess I'll just keep it moving. I don't know what I'm doing. All right. Anyways, I'll just keep on moving. Texas A&M and Yale. Yale's another team people are picking. I believe it's Wally Szczerbiak. One of those guys. I forget who it was. I think it's Wally, though. He said he has UC San Diego playing Yale in the round of 32. And again, guys, I just don't see it. I don't see the hype. Listen, I love Yale. They didn't have a great conference tournament, though. So I like Texas A&M here. I think Wade Davis Jr. I think that's his name. Or Wade Taylor Jr., my bad. I think he's just going to kind of run all over Yale. Yale is a small team. They don't have a lot of big men. They actually just lost Danny Wolf to Michigan up there, if you can see that. And, yeah, they're a small team, but so is Texas A&M. And when two small teams play, it's usually the better of the two small teams that win it. Ole Miss versus San Diego State and UNC. The winner of San Diego State and UNC. I think UNC is going to beat San Diego State, and I think they're going to beat Ole Miss. I think that what it really comes down to is heart, and RJ Davis has a lot of heart going into this tournament, all right? He lost a game in Duke that a lot of people thought they would be going home. Me included thought they would just be going home after that, They wouldn't have a chance to play in the NCAA tournament. But I and a lot of others were wrong. They have the chance now to prove themselves. They have a chance to go and do something great. RJ Davis in his last year, maybe be one of those 11 seeds to go from the first four to the final four, Only been done twice ever. VCU in 2011. And I believe UCLA in 2021 were the two teams to go from the first four to the final four. And they could be one of those teams that just because they have so much heart, Elliot Cadeau, RJ Davis, they'll have those boys buzzing, going all over the court, defending well, playing well. And I could see them beating Ole Miss. An SEC conference that, set the record for the most teams ever. For a conference to put in the NCAA tournament in 14 teams, which is wild to me. But I don't see Ole Miss winning here. All right. Iowa State, Lipscomb. Listen, Lipscomb, great season out of the ASUN Conference. I don't know much about them. Iowa State, always a great team coached by TJ Otzelberger. I think Iowa State is just going to beat Lipscomb. All right. I don't even know how Lipscomb got seeded that highly. All right. Stetson won the ASUN tournament last year, and they were a play-in 16 seed, or they might not have been a play-in 16 seed, but they were definitely a 16 seed. And this year, they're just not. The ASUN conference is a 14 seed. I don't know how they got that high, but I still think Iowa State's going to beat Lipscomb here. All right. Marquette versus New Mexico. My dad said it on the couch earlier. This is a bad matchup for Marquette. New Mexico is a really good team, and Marquette has had a really, really, really bad ending to the season. They didn't really go that far in the Big East tournament. Whereas New Mexico, they also had a really bad run in their tournament as well. But I think Marquette here has the upper hand, and they're going to beat New Mexico. So, yeah. All right. Oh, let me turn on the chat real quick and see. Sorry. Oh, it says a live chat's disabled. My bad, guys. I'll try to here. Let me. All right. Yeah, let's turn on live chat here. Live chat replay. All right, let's get chat in here. Yeah. All right, chat's on now. So if you guys want to comment, I'll see it. So yeah. All right. Let's go here. All right. Marquette beating New Mexico. All right, Michigan State and Bryant. I think this is again pretty chalky. Bryant had, what do they have? Doug Edert transfer there a couple years ago. That's really the only thing I know about them. Doug Edert, obviously the March favorite from St. Peter's, the year that they went to the Elite Eight in 2022, I want to say. He transferred there a couple years ago. That's literally the only thing I know about Bryant. But I like Michigan State here. The famous Tom Izzo, always getting his boys ready to play in March. Cohen Carr this year. Just a lot of great players for them this year that I think will carry them to the round of 32. Actually, you know what? Well, let's just finish this bracket, or this side of the bracket real quick. All right. Let's see here. We have 3 viewers. Comment anything that you would like me to say, I guess. I don't know. All right, Auburn versus Louisville. Yeah, Auburn, guys. It's Auburn. It's Auburn. All right. They didn't demonstrate they could win. They didn't demonstrate they could win big games in the SEC tournament, but they demonstrated they could win big games all season long, and I think it's going to stay that way during the NCAA tournament. So I think they're going to beat Louisville. Michigan, Texas A&M. I think this is where Michigan falls. I think, Texas A&M. Actually, I lied. You know what? No, I like Michigan against Texas A&M, and here's why. All right, Michigan, Trey Alexander, a great matchup versus Wade Taylor Jr. All right. And then, but you also have with Michigan, Danny Wolf and Vlad Golden. So I think those two are going to match up really well against Texas A&M centers. And they're not a tall team. So they're going to be able to score in the paint against Texas A&M. All right. UNC versus Iowa State. This is where UNC falls for me. I said it earlier. They could be one of those teams that goes from the first 4 to the final 4. But I don't actually believe that. I think they're going to beat Ole Miss. Everybody's going to get on the hype train, and then they're going to fall to Iowa State. Marquette versus Michigan State. So I believe they played 2 years ago, I want to say. And it was actually Marquette, the 2 seed, and Michigan State, the 7 seed. And Michigan State beat them. So this time around, Michigan State's going to beat them again. I just think Michigan State, again, they play with so much hype. Tom Izzo is, again, notably a very good coach in March. He will have the boys playing well. Yeah, that's what I have right there, is that Michigan State's going to beat Marquette here, and they're going to move on to the Sweet 16. All right, what do we have here? Auburn versus Michigan. So Auburn is going to beat Michigan here. as much as I wanted to do a Michigan State versus Michigan Elite Eight, it's not going to happen. I like Auburn to beat Michigan here. I think that Auburn is just good on every level that Michigan State is also good on. So you have Johni Broome guarding Vlad Golden. You have Chad Baker-Mazara guarding Trey Donaldson. You have a bunch of guys on Auburn that just match up really well with Michigan. Iowa State versus Michigan State. I think this is where TJ Otzelberger falls. Iowa State, they're one of those teams that they usually go to the Sweet 16 pretty often, but they never go past the Sweet 16. And again, their streak is going to continue here. It's not a streak, but their luck is going to continue here where they go to the Sweet 16, they go to the round of 32, they don't make it past the round of 32 or the Sweet 16. All right. So then we have Michigan State playing Auburn. I think Auburn is going to the Final Four. I hate to be pretty chalky in that bracket, but I think that's just what's going to happen. All right, the West bracket. This, I believe, was the last bracket announced on the selection show. And I think it's one of the best brackets, to be completely honest. I think the matchups here are really, really, really good. This first matchup, Florida versus Norfolk State. I love Florida. Walter Clayton, Oliver Rue, I don't even think he plays, but when you have a 7'9" freshman, shoot, you could do anything. I love Florida. I love how they won the SEC tournament. I love that they won the SEC tournament. Not that I root for Florida, because they have won 2 national championships in a row previously. But they're a pretty good team this year, and I wouldn't be surprised seeing them also in the Final Four. But I also wouldn't be surprised seeing them get upset in the first couple of rounds. All right, UConn versus Oklahoma. All right, Danny Hurley. Listen, it's an off year for UConn, but they still made the tournament. They're still going to be playing strong, guys. This isn't a UConn team that's going to quit, all right? Danny Hurley doesn't coach quitters. If you're a quitter, you're not on UConn, all right? You're not playing for UConn if you're a quitter, all right? So Danny Hurley is going to win that first game versus Oklahoma. That's a fact. You can put it in the whatever record books. You can put it in. You can quote me. You can say whatever you want. UConn is going to win that first game because Danny Hurley is going to have the boys playing hard. He's not going to take any shit from anybody. He's going to be pumping up the boys. He's going to say, "Let's go, boys." So yeah, they're going to win that first game. All right. Memphis, Colorado State. All right, Memphis. I hate to say it. Colorado State did amazing in the Mountain West tournament, but the selection committee obviously didn't really see the Mountain West as a strong conference this year. They could have had 5 teams in. They only chose to put 4 teams in. So I like Memphis here. Penny Hardaway. They have that kid, PJ Hogarth, I think his name is. I could be saying it very wrong. But he scored, 40 points the other night? I think it was in the semifinal to put Memphis into the AAC final. He's amazing. Penny Hardaway is a great coach. I'm surprised he hasn't gotten promoted to the Power 5 level. But I see Memphis winning that game. Probably by double digits, to be completely honest. Maryland versus Grand Canyon. All right, here's where I have my first 4-13 upset. All right, Grand Canyon found a way to sneak into this tournament. All right, Utah Valley should have been the team out of the WAC. And Grand Canyon won late on Saturday, or won early Sunday morning, probably 1:30, 2:30. The game started at 11:30. I watched a little bit of it. Grand Canyon is just one of those teams. Their student section travels well. They're a very momentum-based team, so when they get on runs, it's almost like they can't stop. So I think if they get on a run versus Maryland here, a team who I don't know is that good, all right? They played Michigan hard, but I don't know if they have anybody except for Derek Queen that is really that great. So I see Grand Canyon winning based off of momentum here. And yeah. All right, Missouri Drake. I like Missouri. I like Drake here. Drake, coached by Ben McCollum, his first year there. God, they have so many great players. I can't remember any of their names. I think one's last name is Avila. He's really good. They just kind of breezed through Missouri Valley Arch Madness, as they call it. And they're going back to Wichita, Kansas, which is only probably less than a 5-hour drive away from where they are in Des Moines, which is, I guess, to go to the other side, is also very close to Missouri. But the Drake, another team that's fans travel well, so I see Drake having some sort of a neutral site game here, even though the committee tried to make it closer to Missouri. They could only do so much. I like them winning it here, just because they should have been a 10 seed and they got put at an 11 seed. So yeah. All right. Texas Tech and UNC Wilmington. Texas Tech. UNC Wilmington, another one of those teams that wasn't supposed to win the tournament. They said it on the broadcast in the selection show, but 14 out of the 31 conference tournaments ended where the 1 seed did not win the conference tournament, all right? And UNC Wilmington is, again, one of those teams. But Texas Tech is really good. JT Toppin, just a bunch of great players on their team, and I see them playing Drake in the round of 32. And for those of you asking, I am drinking the Drake Kool-Aid. So yeah, a lot of people make the mistake of picking Drake. I don't think it's a mistake this year. I like Drake this year. I just think they're a very good team compared to years past. So yeah. All right. So I got Texas A&M beating UNC Wilmington. Now, this is my favorite matchup of the entire tournament. Kansas Arkansas. When I look at this game, I could see either side winning. But for either side, it's almost the demise of the coach. John Calipari has been on sort of a demise for the past, 5-6 years now, where he just hasn't won any tournament games. Or I don't think he's gotten to the Sweet 16 in a while. And that comes after last year losing to Oakland, and Jack Golke. If you remember, I think he hit like 10 3-pointers or something. Something crazy like that. I completely forget. That was a year ago. But on the other side, Bill Self, with one of the worst years in Kansas's history, not even recent history, in history. Kansas, 35 years making it to the tournament straight. Could you imagine a team like VCU or a team, even a Power 5 team like Rutgers or Northwestern doing that? Nobody could imagine anybody doing that. Even a powerhouse like Kentucky, as I mentioned, who makes the tournament almost every year, doesn't have the same streak. Duke doesn't have the same streak. UNC doesn't have the same streak. UConn doesn't have the same streak. Gonzaga doesn't have the same streak. Kansas, 35 years in a row, I think dating back all the way to 1989. They keep the streak going this year. But it's also a year of them falling apart. They were ranked number 1 in the preseason polls, and they're a 7 seed. They didn't finish in the top 25. They had a pretty bad conference tournament. They won, 1 or 2 games, but they didn't win by a large margin. So I just don't see Kansas, doing great here. I still see them winning because it's John Calipari, and he just doesn't win in March. But yeah, all right, let's see. Trips gang, High Point all the way. Sawyer picks are horrible. Memphis over Colorado State, really. Yeah, Colorado State isn't good. High Point, we'll get to them when we get to them. I like them. I don't know how much I like them. I guess we'll see. St. John's, love St. John's. I love New York. I love Italians. Rick Pitino's Italian. St. John's is in Brooklyn. I love St. John's. I love R.J. Luis Jr. I really love the defense that they play, the hardcore style, grit and toughness. Grit's my favorite word in the dictionary, and they have a lot of it. So I like to see them beat Omaha here. Omaha, a team that played hard in their conference tournament, but I just don't see them beating St. John's, especially the way that St. John's plays defense and the way that they just don't get upset a lot of the time. I'll say it. St. John's is going to beat Kansas here. And all right. I like Drake to beat Texas Tech here. Again, I'm drinking the Drake Kool-Aid here. I like them to beat Texas Tech and go on to play St. John's. All right. Memphis, Grand Canyon, another tough one, but I see Memphis beating Grand Canyon here. Grand Canyon coming off of a huge momentum win versus Maryland. Memphis coming off of a mid sort of tier win against Colorado State. I just see Memphis beating Grand Canyon here. They're the better team. And I like Memphis here. Again, Penny Hardaway, great coach. I like him against Grand Canyon. And then to play Memphis, I like UConn. Again, Danny Hurley, I think he'll have the boys playing well. UConn always does well, no matter the seed. And I think Florida's going to be the first one seed to go out. I just really like UConn in that matchup. All right. And then, if you believe it or not, I like St. John's to beat Drake and UConn to beat Memphis in the Sweet 16. St. John's beating Drake, it's kind of chalky, but I think that's where Drake's run comes to an end in the Sweet 16. Ben McCollum, though, would have a great season and probably get hired for a Power 5 job. Probably Iowa, if I'm assuming. He'll probably stay in state. But, yeah. All right. UConn, St. John's. I like St. John's here against UConn. St. John's going to the Final Four to play Auburn. And while we're here, why don't I take a quick break? I'm going to go, hey Oliver, I'm going to go grab my charger to plug in my computer, and we'll finish off the second half of the bracket. So give me a second. Yeah. Alright, I got the charger, I'm back. Now I need to figure out where I should plug in this charger to make it work. Oh, there. Alright, is there an open plug down there? I think so. I'm back. Let's plug this thing in. And let's get back rolling. Alright. Alright, I'm back. Alright, we're back. Ooh, 5 concurrent viewers. Alright. Second side of the bracket. Probably should have grabbed a water while I was out too. But it's okay. Alright. Suey versus Houston. Alright. Suey. One of the teams I watched win the conference tournament. They're good. They're not good enough to beat Houston. I don't think there's going to be any 16 seeds winning this year. Alright? There's a reason why it's only happened twice in history. And, both of the teams that kind of did it were very passionate. They were very small. And they beat teams that kind of had underlying issues, UVA couldn't score the ball, and Purdue didn't know how to use Zach Edey yet. Houston is just not one of those teams that have these underlying issues. So I see them beating Suey to advance to the round of 32. To play Houston, I have... let's see here. Gonzaga. All right. Mark Few is reaching the end of his days. But he's still got fuel left in the tank. All right. He won the WCC tournament. He is a alright Gonzaga team. Honestly, there's not a lot of people on the Gonzaga team I've ever heard of. And I probably couldn't name you one player on their team. So they're gonna beat a bad Georgia team, who's this is their first year in the tournament in a long time. They couldn't even make the tournament with Anthony Edwards, but they're here this year and they're gonna lose to Gonzaga in the first round. That Houston-Gonzaga matchup is a really good matchup to watch out for later when I finish filling out the Midwestern. The Midwestern quarter of the bracket. All right, Clemson, McNeese State. Listen. I love Ian Shefflin. I love whoever Clemson's coach is. I can't remember his name, but if you showed me his face, I would be able to recognize him. I like their team. But Will Wade is coaching for a big job upgrade, and I like him to beat Clemson here in his last year with McNeese State. All right. Or what probably will be his last year with McNeese State. All right. High Point, Purdue. I like High Point here. I mentioned Zach Edey earlier in the filling out of the Midwestern quarter of the bracket. Zach Edey is not with Purdue anymore. It's wild to see, but that means they're going to lose. All right, they're going to lose at High Point in the classic 12-13 matchup that happens every year. There's at least one quarter of the bracket where it happens, and this year I think this is the quarter where it happened. I think McNeese State beats Clemson, and I think High Point beats Purdue. I think Wally Zerbiak said it. I forget what his name is. It's the guy who's sitting next to Jay Wright on the CBS Sports desk. I think it's Wally, but I'm not totally sure. Whoever said it, I'm drinking his Kool-Aid. I like McNeese State to beat Clemson. I like High Point to beat Purdue. To move on to the round of 32. That rhymed. All right, Illinois and the winner of Texas and Xavier. All right. Illinois, a team that has battled injuries all year long. All right. They have a kid on their team named I don't know how to pronounce his last name. It starts with a J. It's like Jakunas or something. I don't know. But he's a really, really, really good player, and when he's healthy, he's really, really good. So I like Illinois here because he's healthy to beat Texas and Xavier. Listen, Texas had a pretty good outing in in the SEC tournament. Xavier did not. I don't know who's going to win that play-in game, but whoever does is going to lose to Illinois. Kentucky is going to beat Troy because this is a different Kentucky team, all right? Mark Pope is a different coach than John Calipari, all right? He's not going to lose to the 14 seed just like John Calipari did last year versus Oakland and Jack Golke. This is a different Kentucky team, all right? They're going to win their matchup versus Troy. All right, UCLA versus Utah State. Mick Cronin is a strict coach, but you know what you get with strict coaches? You get winning. Just take a look at Danny Hurley, all right? He's a strict coach. 2 national titles in a row. Another one, I'm trying to think. Scott Drew, strict coach. 2 national titles, 1 national title. Coach K, strict coach. A couple national titles, all right? Strict coaches. Rick Pitino, strict coach. He has a couple national titles, at least. He might not have a couple, but he has at least 1. I count that 2014 Louisville national title, by the way. All right. Yeah, I like Mick Cronin there. Again, strict coaches do really good. All right, Tennessee, they played really well in the SEC tournament. I like them here. All right, UCLA, Tennessee. I'm going chalk here. I like Tennessee here to beat UCLA. I just think that they play really, really, really good ball, and they're going to play really, really good ball against Mick Cronin and UCLA. You know, strict coaching can only get you so far with a mediocre team, and UCLA has a mediocre team. So I like Tennessee here with Chaz Linear and Zakai Ziegler and players like that. So, yeah. All right. Illinois versus Kentucky. I like Illinois to beat Kentucky here to move on to the Sweet 16. I think this is Brad, whatever his name is. I don't remember his last name. I forget his name. Brad somebody. I like this to be the year that he makes it to the Sweet 16 and kind of defies all odds. He's, again, one of those strict coaches. And I think he's gotten it. He has a very favorable position here to make it. Kentucky is a team that likes to score a lot. Illinois can score a lot this year. They can win a boat race with Kentucky, and that's what they're going to have to do to get to the Sweet 16. All right, Houston, Gonzaga. All right, I like Houston this year. In past years, I would like Gonzaga because I don't like Houston, but I like Houston this year. I like Houston to beat Gonzaga, and to kind of prove the world right in a way. You know, Kelvin Sampson, I like him to just show the world that, hey, we can make it to a national title. All right. I think they made it to a Final Four a couple years ago. They've definitely made it to they made it to the Elite Eight last year. And this year, I'd like them to go far. They have a pretty easy bracket, I would say. They don't have a lot of teams that historically do well in the tournament, except for Gonzaga, who made it to the national title a couple years ago, but I have them beating them. So other than that, I could see them just cruising to the Final Four, to be completely honest. They might be one of the only teams to do that. All right. McNeese State, High Point. I think McNeese State, this is the year, again, with Drake, with McNeese State. These are two teams that everybody liked last year that just didn't perform. This year, it's different, all right? This year, I like McNeese State to go to the Sweet 16, to play Houston, and to lose to Houston. Because Houston is just that good. And again, again with Ben McCollum, he got to the Sweet 16. He did his job. He got to the program. He got the program to a point they either have never been to or haven't been to in a long time. It's the same thing with Will Wade, all right? He's looking for a higher job. He's looking for a job, P4, or at least a better mid-major job. And he's going to do his job by getting McNeese State to the Sweet 16, a place that they've never been before, or a place that they've been only once or twice before. But he's going to lose there to a very good Houston team. All right. Tennessee and Illinois. This is a tough one, but I like Rick Barnes to win here against Illinois, and then to lose to Houston. Because Rick Barnes just hasn't really, I mean, other than last year, he hasn't really been able to do a lot in March. But yeah, I like him to get to the. I like for him to get to the Elite Eight and then lose to Houston. I don't really like Illinois' team versus Tennessee. I think that, once they get past, or they don't have a good guard, and once they get past the 3 spot, they're kind of weak. So yeah, I like Tennessee there. All right, to the final quadrant of the bracket. To the final quadrant of the bracket we go. All right, Duke versus American and Mount St. Mary's. Well, I'll just say Duke is going to beat whoever they play, but I do think American is going to kill Mount St. Mary's. And I might make that my last pick of the season. I might make that, I might make Duke. I just found out that Cooper Flagg isn't playing. That doesn't make my pick change at all because they're playing a 16 seed and they won an ACC championship without Cooper Flagg. So if they can win an ACC championship without Cooper Flagg, they can beat American or Mount St. Mary's. All right, that's just how I see it. But yeah, I do like American over Mount St. Mary's, but then to lose to Duke. So yeah. All right. Mississippi State versus Baylor. Baylor's just one of those teams. I must have just blacked out when they announced they were in the tournament because I don't remember them getting in at all. Baylor's just one of those teams. Who do they have? They have VJ Edgecombe or somebody. I forget his name, but I think it's something like that. Mississippi State has never, ever, ever been able to perform well in the tournament. I don't see that changing this year. I think Baylor's going to beat Mississippi State, and then they're going to go to a Duke team that has Cooper Flagg back, and we'll see what they do. All right, Oregon versus Liberty. I said this to my dad while we were watching this selection show. Oregon actually played Liberty in football a couple of years ago. In the Fiesta Bowl, I want to say. It was when they let in Liberty as the G5 team into the New Year's Six Bowl, and they played Oregon with Bo Nix. Liberty lost pretty badly to Oregon in the football game, and they're going to beat Oregon here. Yeah, that's what I think. They're going to beat Oregon here. The classic 12-5 upset. I have it with McNeese State and Clemson, but I think it's again going to happen here with Oregon and Liberty, and Liberty is going to go on and play Arizona. Because I also told my dad this, and because I think Wally or whatever his name is had it, 2 12 seeds playing 2 13 seeds. That never happens. But it always happens in a tournament where the 12 seed plays a 13 seed, but it doesn't happen twice. This year, I like McNeese State to play High Point, and I like Arizona to beat Akron, but Liberty to beat Oregon. All right, BYU versus VCU. BYU. So this game is going to be played on a Thursday because BYU can't play on a Sunday. So therefore, they have to play it on a Thursday. So just in case BYU does win, they don't have to play on a Sunday. Which kind of screws whatever 11 seed they're playing. Yeah, it kind of screws them. And in this case, it's VCU. But I like VCU to win this game. Ryan Odom, I mentioned it earlier with Will Wade and Ben McCollum. They're two coaches that are looking for an upgrade. Ryan Odom is obviously a candidate for the Virginia coaching job, the UVA coaching job. He's being looked at heavily for that job, so he has to perform pretty well in the tournament. And VCU is going to be playing Wisconsin because Montana is just not a good basketball team. I'll say it. I might get hate for that. I don't like Montana though. All right, I don't like Montana here. All right, St. Mary's Vanderbilt. This is a tough one because I haven't really watched either team play this year. I'm gonna say it. I think St. Mary's is gonna lose here. All right. I think Vanderbilt. This is their first year in a tournament in a long time. I forget who their coach's name is, but it's his first year at Vanderbilt, and they're in the tournament for the first time in a long time. I like Vanderbilt here. St. Mary's is just one of those teams that get highly seeded every year in the tournament, and they just don't go that far. They don't go past the round of 32 very often. So I like Vanderbilt to beat St. Mary's here and to go on to play Alabama. Alabama is going to beat Vanderbilt. I'll say it pretty badly. VCU is going to beat Wisconsin. And I am being a little bit biased here because I do live in Richmond, so I'm going to pick VCU for at least one of these games. And I think Wisconsin is kind of one of those teams that just chokes games away. So does VCU in a way. And then VCU is just going to get demolished by Alabama. They're going to get pummeled by Alabama. And it sucks to say that because I hate Alabama and I love VCU. But they're going to get demolished. They just don't match up well with Alabama at all. All right. Duke is going to beat Baylor with Cooper Flagg back. Colin Knippel just went out of his mind without Cooper Flagg. He's going to go out of his mind with Cooper Flagg. Sion James is going to go off. They just have a lot of pieces that are really good. Arizona. I think Liberty. Yeah, I think Liberty is gonna beat Arizona here, and then Duke is gonna kill Liberty. I think Liberty just matches up really well with Arizona. Arizona, who still has Caleb Love, but just isn't really that great of, I don't know how to say it. They play well sometimes, and they don't other times. And I think if they don't get beat by Akron, they're going to get beat by Liberty. So, yeah. Duke, though, they're going to absolutely obliterate Liberty like Alabama is going to obliterate VCU. And then I think Duke is going to beat Alabama, and we have our Final Four, a 1-1-1-2. I think it's going to be Auburn, who beats St. John's. They just overpower St. John's defense with their offense, and they go on to play Duke, who just kind of, again, beats Houston with their offense. These games are going to be very similar in how two offensive-focused teams are going to beat two, how do I say this? Two defensive-focused teams. And then Auburn is going to beat Duke. They're going to beat them 80-77. Or 80-70, actually, I'll say it. And yeah. So that's my bracket. Here. I'll call it podcast bracket. Yeah, that's my bracket. I like it a lot. Obviously, it's tough to make a perfect bracket. It's something like, I don't know, like 9 quintillion or something. But I like it a lot. I'll probably be making a lot of other brackets. How could I stop at one? I'll definitely be making a bracket on paper. At least one bracket on paper. I made this one just so I could do it on the podcast and talk about each team. So yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. This has been really cool. This is my first time doing a stream with my camera and also my screen. I'll probably do this again sometime. Maybe after like MLB opening day, or maybe after the college basketball national championship. I wish I had found out how to use this technology before the college football playoffs, so I could do that too. But I didn't, and the past is the past. So yeah, I'm really, really, really excited for March Madness. I'm really excited to watch games in class and out of class. Yeah, it's March. Let's have a great March. I hope if you're betting on these games, I am not betting on these games, but I hope if you do bet on these games, you win your bets. So yeah, have a great March, everybody. I hope your bracket does well. If you follow my bracket, then I hope that bracket does well. So yeah, all right. Well, thank you guys for tuning in.